I hosted a $5,000 Bloons tournament with players like Isab, SJB, Alukian, and many more. We'll start with Boltrix versus SJB, a clash of titans. The random map was Garden, which happens to be SJB's least favorite. He still did well, pressuring Boltrix the entire time, but in the end, SJB was not able to defend his OMG, while Boltrix used his first strike to handle his. But that is how most of the first round went, with pretty convincing wins all around. The closest game was Aidanz versus White Mamba, as it came down to the wire with an all-out, but Aidanz was able to defend it. Now, the first two rounds of the tournament were best of ones, so the nerves were pretty high all around, though I was impressed with some of the lower seeds, like Tal almost defending back-to-back Isab rushes, and BigTacoBellBoy holding his own on Koru against Alukian. But my favorite part of round one was when Jason did the most Jason thing I could think of, in that Asian Sensation banned the Druid, and Jason used it anyway. Clearly, he's too powerful for bans, but luckily he lost so we didn't have to worry about a rematch. Now, there is a loser's bracket so people can fight their way back in, but before we cover that, the NoMunnies Asian Sensation game was the single greatest match I've ever seen. Going into round 32, it was dead even. Both players were using Bloon crushes to clean up the remains of round 30 fortified bads when several more bads were sent. Now, Asian sent his first, so NoMunnies' only shot was to pop it with some god tier first strike micro while it's still in range of his Bloon crush. But even with maximum effort, he fell just short as the bad left the Bloon crush's range just 3 seconds before its outer layer was popped, and he had no monies to relocate it. But by some miracle, the explosion's radius was large enough to reach the DDTs when the Bloon crush was targeting the second bad, stalling the round and causing Asian to leak first. An absolutely wild ending that set in motion a ton of amazing games to follow, one of which was Isab versus Boltrix. Now for this game, I had a special shirt made to farm some comments and lessen the nerves, and it managed to make Boltrix laugh and Isab blush. I mean, listen to this reaction.
Wow. I didn't know you were my #1 fan.
Now this game was insane, and I don't think I can make it any better with commentary, so let me explain how this whole event was possible. The only reason I was able to host this and give $5,000 to charity was because it was sponsored by NordVPN, and if it goes well, we can do more events like this in the future. So if you want to get around region-locked content on Netflix, like being able to watch The Hobbit by connecting to the Netherlands, or if you want to increase your cybersecurity to keep your data safe, go to nordvpn.com/hbomb and use promo code hbomb to get an exclusive deal, and it's risk-free with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. Now, you may be wondering, how does having NordVPN keep me safe? Well, with Nord, all of your online data gets encrypted and only your computer and Nord's servers have the password to decrypt it. So, you send an encrypted request to Nord servers, they then do whatever you asked, encrypt the response, and send it back to you. This way, if someone tries to track you, they just get Nord's server, and if they try to read the data getting sent to your computer, they just get gibberish as it's all encrypted. On top of this, the deal comes with their threat protection that blocks ads, stops web trackers, blocks access to websites that'll give you viruses, and can scan your files for malware. But signing up will really increase our odds of being able to host more cool events like this, and there is a 1-month money-back guarantee, so there's no downside to trying it out. Just remember to use promo code HBOMB at checkout so they know that I sent you. And now we'll tune into what Isab was saying when finishing the game.
This is incredibly close. Come on. Balloon boost against. He's all outing DDTs. Another Sabo. Turbo damage laser bombs, come on. Come on. Come on, come on, come on, come on. This is incredibly close. I think, oh my god. That was a game. I had no idea how many balloons were there. GG's Boltrix. I knew that, I feel like this series definitely deserved a best of 3. My god, well played by him. And yeah, let's jump into the interview now, I guess.
And just like that, Isab took down Boltrix. And while the loss was still fresh, I broke out another shirt that reads Boltrix, more like bad tricks. Now, I would only do this to Boltrix because him and I are pretty good friends, but he took it like a champ and headed down to the loser's bracket where he would go against Mr. Ender, the 16th seed who just managed to beat out White Mamba in a DDT race. And if beating White Mamba wasn't scary enough, listen to the confidence of Mr. Ender coming into this game.
Go ahead and get this thing going. Ender.
Yeah.
More confidence, man. You got this.
Anyway, they hopped onto In the Wall, and whether it was unlucky timing, poor placement, or Mr. Ender just being a god, Boltrix's Glaive Ricochet was not able to clear Space Pinks, causing for the biggest upset of the tournament so far and absolutely making Mr. Ender's day.
No way! No way!
I wish I could be that happy. As for the rest of the losers bracket, JuggernautUser took out Punji, SJB destroyed people with his mortars and aces, and now we find ourselves watching Asian Sensation versus Kevin Gaming. It was so close to a mirror match, but the one difference was that Kevin went to normal Churchill and Asian went with Sentai. And they were neck and neck throughout the entire game, even getting their monkey wall streets on the same round. But Asian greeted just a little too hard, died to the ceramics, and in true Asian Sensation fashion, rage quit his way out of the tourney. And just like that, only 8 players remained, and we are into the best of 3s. Now, I haven't covered Ryan Mihalik much this video as he's been tearing apart the competition, and that's gotta change now, right? Nope, he 2-0'd NoMunnies, even though they both played great. I highly recommend checking these two out if you want to get better at battles, but the next matchup is Isab versus Alukian, with Isab running his classic farm bomb substrat and Alukian opting for the ninja Elkin farm. Now, Isab was farming better the entire game, but Alukian kept up the pressure with several rushes throughout the early game, even forcing out a monkey boost in round 9, and down an entire farm, Alukian sent a regen ceramic rush layered with purples, and it was more than enough to take game 1 from Isab, giving him his first loss of the day. The thing is with these best of 3s though, is that we did not allow players to reuse the same strat in a match, meaning that both players will have to change at least one monkey in their lineup. And because Isab lost game 1, he got to pick the next map and he chose Inflection. Now, the only other time we saw this map played was when JuggernautUser took down Kevin Gaming on round 5, so I was not sure what to expect. But man, did these two not disappoint. Both players made some extra money by farming, then Isab defended Alukian's ceramic and purple rush and countered with a relentless storm of mobs, which eventually got through Alukian's defenses, which made it all come down to game 3 with Alukian picking ports. This probably wasn't the best idea as he went down to 10 lives by the end of round 3, but he stabilized and made it a game as he kept sending rushes at Isab who was barely defending them. Then it was decided as Isab sent 5 fortified mobs on round 20, which follow a different path than the AI mob, making it very difficult to defend. So Isab and Ryan were both in the semifinals, but before that game, we need to finish the losers bracket, so let's do some rapid fire. JuggernautUser took down Mr. Ender and then lost to Corey NWF, who was filling in for NoMunnies as he needed a substitute. Then Kevin Gaming beat SJB, but lost to Alukian, so both players who just came down from the winners bracket won their games. Next, Alukian and Corey faced off in an epic game of 3 that ended with Alukian barely taking down Corey in spectacular fashion. And just like that, we were left with 3 players, who we happened to rank 1st, 2nd, and 3rd before this event even started. Pretty good ranking if you ask me, but let's get into the heavyweight matchup of the century with Ryan versus Isab. Now, game 1 was on ports, where both players leaked a ton of lives early. Ryan went down to 73 and Isab 42 by round 12. It was here where both sides stabilized and got comfortable. A little too comfortable, in fact, because Isab was here to win and he wanted to win now. So he sent 3 mobs Ryan's direction, which were easily popped, and then proceeded to leak AI Bloons on round 19. Win or lose, Isab was getting the job done by round 20. All jokes aside, every game on ports this tournament was decided by AI, probably because of the pressure the opponents were putting on them. But not one to waste time, Isab chose Koru and brought the heat as he beat Ryan on round 4, as Ryan greeted just a little too hard by rushing Benjamin and Isab pounced on the opportunity. So after just a few minutes, the series was tied 1-1. But because Ryan won the random map, he got to decide the final one, and he went with his bread and butter Dino Graveyard. He got to work with his patented NG Dartling Helistrat that he showed off earlier this tournament, demonstrating his mastery of these monkeys as he knew exactly what to do at all times. With this, he got off to a huge lead against Isab, having almost twice as many Chinooks by round 26, and he had an XXXL trap by 27. At this point, I said to Dabloon that I couldn't see a way that Isab won this, and then he did the impossible. Isab sold all of his Chinooks and sent the single biggest rush this world has ever seen. And even with a big trap, a mad, and a Bloon exclusion zone, Ryan was not able to defend the sheer number of regrowths that came out of the DDTs and was off to face Alukian to see who gets to play Isab in the championship. Game 1 was Sands of Time. Alukian somehow managed to convince every single player he went up against to pick this map. I don't know what it is about him, but he has a way with words. Ryan got off to an early lead in farms and was constantly filling up his trees with balloons to get that extra money. But Alukian saw this, waited until the trees were almost full, and sent a rush of regen rainbows and fortified mobs right when Ryan was weakest. And even with the selling of a central market, the ceramics managed to squeak through. Ryan, getting to pick the map, obviously chose Dino Graveyard and got to work saving up for his 200 IQ Bloon trap plays. But Alukian had seen this several times already this tournament and came in with a plan of farming hard and grading with Benjamin, which would allow him to send a massive regen Zebra Rush on round 11, which was just a little too much for Ryan's Dartling to handle. And just like that, our number 1 seed, who was 1 game away from the championship, lost 4 straight games and got knocked out of the tournament, leaving the final match to be Isab versus Alukian in a best of 3 rematch. This was the first time that Alukian was not able to convince his opponent to choose Sands of Time, and thus Castle Ruins was randomed. Alukian got off to a decent lead as he had 3 marketplaces and Ben down, but on round 19 he sold everything for a massive glory plate made out of fortified mobs and ceramics. But Isab was able to fend it off with a few cells and a bit of Rocket Storm micro. A very ballsy move by Alukian, which would have taken out most players, just not Isab. After this defend, Alukian accepted defeat, forfeited, and went on to choose Garden, where he ran a very similar strat but changed out Benjamin for Oban, while Isab ran Merchantmen and Sentai Churchill. Fun fact, Sentai Churchill was only chosen 7 times this tournament and Isab was 6 of them. Anyway, Alukian hit Isab with a nice layered rush on round 14, but Isab perfectly defended with Churchill's level 3 and a monkey boost, causing him to only lose 3 lives. Then, 2 rounds later, Isab countered with a rush of his own, but with a quick marketplace sell, a rocket storm, and a monkey boost, Alukian managed to pop them all. Directly following this, both players sent another rush to decide the game and possibly the tournament. All they have to do is pop this mob, and they either win the tournament or force game 3. The only difficulty is how much money both of them have spent on rushes, making their defenses pretty weak. But because he just used his abilities, Alukian was not able to pop the final few ceramics, making Isab the winner. GG's, Isab wins the tournament and chose to donate his winnings to a Ukraine support charity. Alukian chose Planned Parenthood and Ryan chose Adaptive Sports. And if you want to watch the full games, including ones I didn't cover here, make sure to check out this full tournament video that has timestamps to every game.